Hello everybody, this is David Blair, the Crosshairs Trader. Welcome to my Sunday review of weekly charts. Now when we look at weekly charts, we do not necessarily make trades off the weekly chart. In other words, it's not used as a signal, it's used more as a directional chart. And then we Crosshairs traders go to our daily chart and look for the weekly to agree with it. In other words, if there is a bullish trade on a daily chart, we want to make sure that the weekly is agreeing with it. So what I generally do is on Sundays I will go through, just quickly go through several weekly charts in my weekly workspace that simply indicating that coming up soon there could be a trade on our daily chart. So what I want to do is go through about 20 of these. There's mainly bullish ones. There's a couple of bearish charts, weekly charts setting up, and there is one ETF that I'd like to discuss. In fact, let's start with the ETF and get that one out of the way. This is XOP. Now my red lines you'll see here are lines that I've drawn for possible resistance areas. And then when you see a green line, they will possibly be support areas. So let's take a look. XOP is the Spiders Oil and Gas Exploration ETF. Oil is starting to perk up. Of course, you're hearing, I'm sure, on the news media talking about oil going higher. That's not necessarily an indication that we should trade oil. All I do is look at the charts, but the weekly chart is setting up. We've got a couple of bullish indicators here for us Crosshairs traders. However, we're at an area of possible resistance that goes back to 08. Most of your charts are going to see resistance at 08 in some form or the other. That's when the bearish recessionary charts started. But if XOP over the next few weeks, again since it's a weekly chart, we could have a signal in a few days to weeks to possibly some months. But right now if we look at XOP, we can see that if it can break through this resistance area, or at least hold in here and then break higher, we've got an opportunity to go considerably higher and look at daily and intraday chart trades that we watch, and we'll know that the XOP weekly chart is in agreement if we have any bullish opportunities. Okay, let's take a look at some other individual stocks. AXP has given us numerous signals on the weekly, and all of these are bullish directional signals. However, we've got again some resistance, goes back to 08. If we can break through this area of resistance and go higher, we've got an opportunity, I think, to make money on AXP. And you can see the resistance is considerably higher. If it breaks through here, you're looking at all the way up into the $60 range if we can do that. So it'd be a good opportunity on AXP. TD, Toronto Dominion Bank, all-time high. It could break through here. However, it's not done it yet. High back in again October, okay, of 07. Had a peak in 08, started falling, but we're above that now. We've been going sideways pretty much all year long. It hit its high in April where the market hit its high. It has not broken back out again. We've gotten a crosshair on the weekly. However, we've got some resistance to look at, but if TD can break out, that could be a potential long-term opportunity. ALGN, again, resistance on the weekly chart a couple of times here. Back in April, went back and go up again in October of this year. If we can break through this area after this crosshair, we've got a considerable way to go before the next possible resistance area. MDRX. Again, some resistance. Most of these weekly charts are setting up. They've been in a range and they're in some resistance levels, but we've got some resistance here. Got a crosshair here on the weekly, so there could be some opportunity setting up on the daily and intraday charts. Again, MDRX, DPZ, Domino's Pizza. Most of your pizza stocks are doing well, restaurant stocks, but particularly like Domino's. I think it's got a lot to do with the fact that it's football, basketball season. A lot of people order pizza. Got Super Bowl coming up. I'm not one to look at fundamentals and macroeconomic stuff, but you know, it's just something that you think about. But if you look at Domino's Pizza chart, it's nice and trending. Our moving averages are lined up. We've got some long-term indicators that have fired for a possible long-term move. We're around the $16 range. The next level of resistance is at 20. JBL's had a wonderful move. Needs to rest. And here's my green line. I'd love to see JBL come back, at least settle in here, maybe even test back here, and then shoot back up toward that 25 resistance range. SWK, Stanley Black & Decker, has broken out, look at that, to an all-time high. See that here. Now it's coming back possibly to test. I'll watch it, see how it holds that breakout level, and then look for a possible trade on our daily chart. A's the same way. It's broken out after a long run. Watch my video called the There It Wasers. Find it on my blog or here on YouTube. This talks about a there it was. In other words, it's already had a huge move. Now we're waiting on it to rest in here and then possibly give us another opportunity once it rests. I don't want to get in on a stock after it's already run 26 miles of a marathon. Don't want to do that, so I'm going to wait, let it rest, and possibly have an opportunity on our daily chart. MTL, been moving higher. All of our directional indicators are telling us we could be going higher. Resistance is a long ways away, but it's had a multi-week run here. Let's see what it does at this resistance, possibly support level, and then we could possibly find a trade. SBUX, again, it's broken out, some resistance. Once it gets through that resistance level and holds here, or holds above the resistance level, should I say, right here, if we can get some rest in here, let it consolidate some, we've got a long-term directional indicator here. It can move up to that resistance around the $40 level. We got plenty of room to run and plenty of time to wait. RL, a lot of these retail stocks I'm going to go through here have had a nice run. Obviously in the fall you usually do, retail stocks run up into the holiday season. Now they're pulling back some, could be resting. You know, there is some theory that they don't move up after Christmas. That's not necessarily the case. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Just depends on where the money wants to go. But RL, Ralph Lauren, could be setting up at a support level. And again, keep in mind these are weekly charts. It could be weeks before we revisit these, but it's a way to keep an eye on some of the big charts. Dick's Sporting Goods, same way, had a nice run, broke out of a resistance level, and now possibly finding support. HAL, Halliburton, at a resistance level. However, if it can settle in here, rest, next level is at 52. That's about a $10 move. That wouldn't be so bad if it tells us it's going to break through that resistance level and head on higher. NAV, Navistars, had an area of consolidation up around the 73 to 78 area. It's at 60 right now. Our long-term directional indicators are telling us that we could possibly have a nice trend up. We've got to see if it can stay above this support. Watch for it on our daily and intraday charts, and then have a possible trade. Disney's all-time high. We Crosshairs traders had traded Disney up into earnings. We do not trade through earnings, and now it has consolidated. Long-term directional indicators here could give us several opportunities over the next weeks to months because it is set up bullishly. SIAL, same thing, broken out above a resistance level. Now it's consolidating, could give us another trade. And the last one is Deere. Deere has not reached its all-time high yet. It's at 84, so there's plenty of room to run, but you can see that it's bullish. Our long-term indicators have been here for a couple of months or so. Several of us traded Deere also up into earnings. Now we're waiting on it to possibly give us another trade. Okay. All of these, of course, keep in mind, us Crosshairs traders not only look at the weekly chart, we look at when earnings are. Earnings season is upon us right now, so I didn't go through when the earnings dates are on these. Keep those in mind. We also wait for a signal on our daily and intraday chart. If you're a Crosshairs member, attended Crosshairs Trading University, these are the things that we talk about during the week. And if you're interested in that type of service, please let me know by contacting me at david@crosshairs.com. Always, you can find free stuff at my blog. I try to write 3 or 4 articles a week along with the Thinking Trader, which list articles that may interest you as a trader who likes to think on his or her own. Again, thank you for joining me. Keep in mind these weekly charts. Wait for a good opportunity on the daily and intraday charts. They may never arise, but keep those in mind. Keep in mind what's going on with the general market. Make sure it's agreeing with your individual stock selection as well. You do not want to trade against the market. Have a wonderful week, both in and outside the charts.